get to shift gears to just a great, great film. It's dropping very soon on digital and DVD home release. This is digital is February 6th. DVD is February 20th. Steve McQueen, American Idol, an incredible documentary. Director Jon Erwin's on the phone with us. We're going to talk about the film a little bit. You know, guys, I love this film. I gave it a great review and would definitely recommend it, even if you're just a casual fan of McQueen or just like guy movies or just want to see the power of God and the redemptive spirit. It's just, there's so many layers to the film. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, this story was, I can't believe that it hasn't been told. You know, it really is incredible that the last, part of the life of an American icon has kind of not been told. And so it was an honor to tell the story, and fascinating documentary to work on. And we had a great team and had a lot of fun making the film. And I think it's a very relevant story, to all of us. I think a great film asks a great question, and hear one of the most famous movie stars of all time went on a search at the height of his fame to say what really makes you happy, because he couldn't find happiness in all the things that he pursued. So that's something that we can all relate to, and it's an incredible story.
What was the step one? What was the first thing that connected you? Is it the book? Is it a treatment of the script? Did you guys work on the script? What was the first step in getting this project together for you?
Oddly enough, the first step in Steve McQueen was a conversation. I was at dear friend and pastor Greg Laurie out in Southern California. He had Mel Gibson to one of his Southern California crusades, and I was there with them, and we're helping out with Mel's movie Hacksaw Ridge, and Greg really got immersed in this little known story of an actor very much like Mel, and Steve McQueen, and who's still to this day known as the King of Cool, and that he went on this spiritual quest at the end of his life and had found the fulfillment and peace that he had always craved, that nothing could get him in a relationship with Christ, which is an incredible story. And so the three of us were standing there before Greg's sermon and before Greg interviewed Mel, and Mel and I were just kind of hanging on every word. The story was just incredible. And after that, I remember Greg kind of told about half of it, walked away, came back, and Mel was like, "Finish the McQueen story." And so we just kind of knew at that point that this should be a documentary film, and that would be the best way to tell this story. And so then we went on a process of just finding out, did this happen, and what are the details, and really just digging into the process of discovering the story and the film, and the true story exceeded even what we thought. It was an unbelievable story, and there were things like Barbara McQueen, Steve's widow, when she came on board, she had a tape that nobody had ever heard of McQueen 2 weeks before he died, just talking about his faith and his Christianity and how much fulfillment it had brought him, and it's just incredible. So I'm honored and blessed to have been the one to tell the story, and to lead a team to tell a story, because it's just a incredible unknown story out of the heart of the golden age of Hollywood.
Now, I want to get your honest moment. What happens the first time you get to hold Billy Graham's preaching Bible with all the notes that Barbara Mindy McQueen has? How does that feel to even have it? You open it, you see his handwriting, you know what you're actually holding, what it represents, and then, of course, trying to figure out a way to integrate that into the story.
Well, when I first heard that Steve McQueen died clutching the Bible of Billy Graham, I thought, that's too good to be true. That has to be
urban legend, right? Just an urban legend. Yeah. You kind of shake it off, right?
But yeah, there's no way. But come to find out, yes, Steve McQueen, he did not become a Christian, it wasn't a deathbed conversion. He became a Christian before he knew he had cancer. And it was radically changing his life and giving him the peace that he had longed for. And then he found out he had mesothelioma and did not have very long to live. And he was fighting it because he was a fighter, from his childhood. and he went down to Mexico for surgery, and he really wanted to talk to Billy Graham before he left. And so Billy Graham actually flew there, walked onto the airplane before they flew down, prayed with Steve, talked to him, and then Steve had misplaced his Bible, and Billy Graham said, well, here, I'll give you mine. And it was not just a Bible, it was Billy Graham's preaching Bible. I mean, I've held it. It has phone numbers and sermon outlines and incredibly special Bible. Steve had the surgery and then and survived the surgery, but his heart gave out after the surgery as he was in recovery. And when they found him clutching that Bible to his chest, the Bible of Billy Graham, which is amazing. And I remember when I first held it, and when Greg first held it. And of course, with Greg being the pastor that he is, he was very, it was a pretty amazing moment for him. And then I remember he used it at his crusade in Arizona, and he was holding it, and then I took it and kind of kept it in my bag, and so I wouldn't let anyone within 25 feet of me. I was clutching my laptop bag because I knew this Bible was in it, and that was owned by both Billy Graham and Steve McQueen. And it's just incredible detail and storybook. It's just unbelievable that it happened, and a showcase of the hope that McQueen was clutching to when he died.
So here, let's get into McQueen's life, and you can kind of whittle it down to what you think the film captures as far as the essence of his life. And I want to contrast that why I think the movie is so special is because if Hollywood made the movie, we'd have one of two things. We'd have some Martin Scorsese or Oliver Stone version of the film, and it would focus on all of the successes and his excesses. And then we'd have these scenes of him doing drugs and being with all these different women and cheating on his wife and then fighting with his first wife and all these different things. We never would have seen this last chapter. It would have been a fade out. He went to Mexico, and then he passed away, and that would have been the way that movie ended. Your movie dives into a completely different way of looking at Steve McQueen.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think, to me, the way I looked at it is I didn't even want to make this a Christian film. I just wanted to make it a complete look at the person's life.
Amen.
And, of course, I'm a Christian, and that's a huge part of my life. But I didn't want to make it where that felt forced or that was all we covered. I just wanted to do a cradle-to-grave look at this man's life and the hope that he found at the end of his life. And I think as a filmmaker, you owe it to the story to be honest to the story. And I think what I found interesting is that these other documentaries that had been done on McQueen had not covered this last chapter because it doesn't match the brand. You know, he's the king of cool to this day, and his image is still very marketable. And there's a feeling that doesn't match this story, you know, of him finding hope in Christ and really trying to turn his life around. And so we just wanted to make the first really complete look at McQueen. And from his troubled childhood and the abandonment of his father. Never met his father, but his father watched him on Dead or Alive. Never knew that. And it, you know, abused by his stepfathers. His mom was an alcoholic, and that was like just a really tough childhood. And this street brawler, this scrapper, this rebel, willed himself to the top of an industry. But when he got to that summit, to the very top, he found it was unfulfilling. And went on a quest to find where happiness really is. And I think that's, again, very relatable. I love the line from Jim Carrey who said, I wish everyone could be rich and famous and have everything they've ever wanted, to know that it's not the answer, you know. And that is the McQueen story. And I think that's, you know, I think a lot of us are dying under the weight of the idea that if we just had this or that, or if we could just be rich and famous or be more beautiful or whatever, we'd be happy. Well, here's a guy that got to check all those boxes and still wasn't, you know, and that's a powerful story that's very relatable, and we're honored to get to tell it.
Obviously, folks, Steve McQueen, American Idol drops digital February 6th. DVD is February the 20th. Steve McQueen Movie, all one word, .com. Facebook has Steve McQueen Event, and at McQueen Event is on Twitter. You can get that information. We'll include some of those links and the online coverages, YouTube, that kind of thing. And I want to shift a little bit, Jon, towards, you co-directed the film with Ben Smallbone. We talked with the Small Bones. We covered his film Priceless, which was just a tremendous effort. There was a lot of really great, visually skilled young creator, and I wanted you to speak to Ben's contribution on the film and what your thoughts were at the end of the day.
Yeah, one of the big goals that Andy and I have for whatever success God would give us in this industry is that, you know, we could empower young filmmakers, and Ben is one of those kids that just has incredible talent. And, you know, we can't change the world alone. So we kind of want to be the Lorne Michaels of Fate Film, if God would allow that, where Lorne's show is Saturday Night Live. And he has empowered, and it's an incubator, it's a talent incubator. You watch the cowbell skit with Will Ferrell, and there's Jimmy Fallon cackling in the back. You know, who would have ever thought there's the next Johnny Carson? Well, Lorne knew that. And so it's pretty amazing to see talent. I mean, our business is based off of talent, and sometimes you just find a rare talent, and you want to empower that talent. So I loved working with Ben on this project, and I think he took it further than Andy and I could have. I think he did better. And so we collaborated on it, and we partnered on it, and he just crushed it, man. I thought he and a very small team of interns, and there's a youthfulness about it because of the people that did it. I thought that they just did really well, and I think that's the future. I think we have to create places where emerging talent can be empowered and given their chance at bat, and that people that are a little further can pass the baton. And so I hope to do that more. McQueen was kind of the first experiment in that vein, and I think Ben is just a very talented filmmaker and was able to really guide this project, and it was wonderful to work with him.
All right, folks, that's Steve McQueen, American Idol, dropping very soon. Again, we'll put the links in there, SteveMcQueenMovie.com, and keep an eye on Jon. Jon and Andy have a great film coming out in March that is called I Can Only Imagine, and it'll be definitely one that I've screened it. It's a great film, another just awesome film, and you're going to love that as well. So I know that we'll be speaking with Jon about that, and we'll be talking about that film when it gets closer. So hang loose.